guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
See you again, Stephen.
It is great to see both of you. I'm a big fan of both of your work, so it's always nice to help you promote whatever you're working on.
Thank you. Who's on your shirt? I can't see.
It may be Spike Lee, Scorsese, and Harvey Keitel.
There you go.
That's pretty.
It was
groovy,
cut
isn't
off
it?
a little. Can you imagine if I was like, never heard of him?
The Scorsese guy will eventually land on his feet. You know, he'll be okay. So you guys all work together on St. Vincent. I'm just curious, how long had the three of you, talking about obviously Theodore as well, been talking about working together again?
I mean, this is mine and Chris's third time with Bridesmaids, St. Vincent, and this. And I just like once Ted called me and immediately we were like, oh, the goal would be if we can get O'Dowd. And there's a reason you keep going back to the same people. One, if they're really, really good, cheap, not doing anything else. Two, but you know, it's like you go back to the same people where you're like, they love what they do. They're exceptional at it and they're a joy to be around. And if you can get that in one package and he has an Irish accent, you just go with it. It's really all it takes.
Yeah,
I also very lucky to be involved. I feel like it was a script I read a few years ago, and the roles were the other way around. And then it came around this time, and Ted said that Melissa was doing it, and I was like, oh, well, that makes much more sense actually. Well done, everybody, for working that out. I would have told you if you had asked. But of course, I was really such a gorgeous story, and a story that needs to be told, and an interesting character to get your teeth stuck into. So we've always enjoyed working together before, and I hope we do it again.
Yeah, I think that the way that the script got, for people that don't realize, it was a blacklist script, and originally anyway, people do some research. The roles were reversed. I think it's much better this way, the way you guys.
What people don't talk a lot about, strangely, is like they changed the roles and the lead characters, but also the Starling used to be penguins.
It's very different.
And so it was a different, because they would have to throw them.
Wow, for a minute, Stephen, he had you. For a minute, you were like, "What?"
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, I actually want to talk about. I want to actually talk about something specific. I'm always curious about how actors like to prepare for filming like a big scene, and I want to specifically use a scene from this movie for the two of you. I'm talking about the hospital scene. It's a phone call. And both of you guys have to sort of deliver these emotional performances. And I'm just curious, how do you actually get ready when you know on, say, a Monday, I'm going to need to cry, I'm going to need to go there, I'm going to need to bring it? Are you days in advance breaking down what you want to do? Could you sort of, or is it sort of the day before you're really getting ready?
I mean, for me, I am a nerdy over preparer. I write it. I say it out loud. I write it. I usually stay 2 weeks ahead of myself. And it's almost like if it's just all by rote, I mean, it's always different every time, but I think if I had to say it, I usually am over prepared. And then I hope in the moment on the day, I throw it all out and I just wait and see what happens. I try to never plan how I'm going to do it. I try to almost say it mechanically. I think I feel it, but as it gets closer to shooting it, I try not to have any emotion about it and almost read it like a list of numbers. And then I let it all happen, because I'm afraid if I start to conjure things, I'll be imitating it instead of doing it, if that makes any sense.
It actually does.
And I'm not dissimilar. I probably think about if it's a particularly heavy scene coming up, you want to get yourself into the emotional state for it as much as the words will always be kind of easy enough. So it's really just about getting yourself into the headspace. And the headspace in this particular film at times was a very difficult place to be in, you know, especially if you've got kids of your own. You have to imagine the one thing that is almost unimaginable. And in a way that's the only way to bring truth to it and to do justice to all the people who have lost. And so I gear myself up in an emotional way in terms of like reading accounts and maybe listening to some stuff, and just to make sure that I'm right for the top of the scene, and then let the actual performance of it all and the other character. And you know what, Melissa's such a great listener, when she's in a scene, and I'm sure it's because of, I think to do improv well, you have to be a good listener. And so it always felt like the scenes that we were doing were very, without being cliched, they were in the moment. We were present for what was happening and not coming up with shtick and shoveling it out. It always felt very real and truthful. So once you realize that that's the rules, then it's much easier to do.
You guys got to have Kevin Kline in the movie. I'm obviously a huge fan of Kevin Kline, and he's relatively selective about his projects. Melissa, I need to know what it was like working with him. And Chris, at what point were you ready to rage quit the shoot when you found out you didn't have any scenes with him?
Well, you get the one.
I do. I get a scene with him. Yeah, I get a scene with him towards the end. Or maybe, yeah. And
I screwed this up. I didn't remember that scene.
That's all right. That's a good review.
Yeah, it was.
It's when he comes to visit Chris. Oh, I don't want to give it away, but he goes to visit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got it. Yeah.
But
Yep.
So, you know what?
That's
It was beyond a dream. I think at no point, coming up in this business, was I ever as insane or cocky or nuts enough to be like, I bet I'll probably work with Kevin Kline. Like words never said by myself. So when he actually said yes to it, and he is so selective, because he can be, he's Kevin Kline, feeling he is so lovely and charming and funny. Christ, he's funny. And then also lovely. And when you're in a scene with him, what makes him Kevin Kline is right there. It's nothing. He's only the character. He's completely open to anything going on. And it was an absolute joy.